one of the ways that if you are in better shape, that you can actually make more money is going to be just because people treat you differently. And not just because, that might seem unfair, but it's not even just because of that. It's because you probably treat yourself differently now. You see yourself in a different way, you perceive yourself differently, you see yourself as more confident. Fitness makes you rich. Fitness makes you more money. Being fit makes you more money. Being fit, if you have your own business, being fit makes you more money directly for sure. Or maybe even indirectly, but more directly than if you don't. Here's how. And I have some clients that have experienced this as well. I've experienced this personally as well. But if you have your own business, being more fit will attract, I think, the respect of others. And as well as I think sometimes people don't want to admit this, but you're more attractive, just generally speaking, right? And at least from a visual perspective. And I know that that's a hard thing sometimes, I think, for people to swallow, but it's aside from personality, all these things, great. But we are visual creatures. Humans, I forget what the data is on this, but it's we make our first impressions on people in the first 2 seconds or something like that. 1 second. It's crazy fast. And a lot of that comes from what we initially see. And then the next one would be initially what the person says, right? And then we take that data and we ultimately we judge. That's what people do, right? You make a judgment case. And that's biological. It's just wired into us. One of the ways I think that, going back to what I was saying, one of the ways that if you are in better shape, that you can actually make more money is going to be just because people treat you differently. And not just because, that might seem unfair, but it's not even just because of that. It's because you probably treat yourself differently now. You see yourself in a different way. You perceive yourself differently. You see yourself as more confident. You see yourself as someone who's more capable. You go into meetings, sales calls, you're real estate, you're touring a home. You feel good about how you look better in clothes. And then all that kind of goes into this whole vibe, this whole feeling about yourself that then is kind of just oozed out of you. It just expresses these obvious characteristics that other people can tell. Maybe not overtly, maybe it's more subconscious than anything, but that is a very real thing. And I think, I get it that fitness makes you rich is kind of clickbaity, but it's I think being more fit absolutely has the potential to make someone more money. It doesn't mean you have to have your own business to do that, because you think in a scenario where you're employed by someone else and you don't have your own business, there's going to be opportunities within that business, whether it's promotions or other obligations and responsibilities or whatever it may be. And, if we know that humans inherently are judgmental and they make some of these subconscious decisions on people based off these initial impressions and judgments, then it makes sense that you could leverage that and improve that by just being in better shape. And it doesn't mean you need to be ripped and look like a supermodel. That's not what I mean either. But being in better shape, I think it's almost like you have two channels, right? It's the one is I already kind of went over, but you could kind of categorize it into two. It's the one you have, the one channel that's purely visual and aesthetic, and a lot of people might not feel like that's fair, and it is what it is. It's just the truth of the matter, where that's how people behave, and that's how humans on average will act, and that's how they think. So it's kind of more of here's how you look. This is how people think about you. They think about you differently, or they feel some type of way about you because of how you look. And because of that, they now treat you, with more respect or more leeway or more favors or whatever it may be. And then the other channel would be, and I think this is actually even more powerful, and probably doesn't bite harder than the other one, which is the self-perception. So how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who's confident, someone who's capable, someone who's proud of the physical work and discipline that they've put into making their body look a certain way and feel a certain way, because you kind of layer into that as well as the cognitive changes, which would affect your mood and kind of your personality to an extent. All of that now you're kind of embodying that and you're carrying yourself that way throughout the world and in your social interactions with people personally or with people in business situations. That can't really be quantified or measured, but that is a very real thing that we can't really discount and we know counts for something. So you kind of put those two together and I think it's quite powerful. So if you want to make more money, which not everybody does, and that's fine. But if you do, being fit is a good way to do that. I would even go backwards and say, maybe you're not driven by money, but maybe you are driven by those social interactions that are more positive, where people do treat you with more respect. And maybe you're driven by the respect that you give yourself or the respect you don't give yourself right now, but you want. And that could be better. And then you look at like, oh, and one of the byproducts and side effects and benefits of being fit and making these changes is that I could potentially open up the opportunity to make more money. Like that's a sweet deal. You know, this is just one of the many benefits of being more fit, in my opinion, that a lot of people don't talk about. I have a client that I'm currently working with right now. We're gonna, you know, she probably wouldn't mind that I use her name, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna save her name. We're gonna call her Mary. So Mary has been working with me since, when was her first day? Back in June. Yeah, it was mid-June. So she's been working with me since mid-June. She's down almost 40 pounds now. She's right at that cusp of dropping down into 40 plus and super, super freaking awesome. She's had some challenges along the way. She originally came to me because she had been going through a lot of emotional turmoil in her personal life. And with a lot of what she was going through around her family, her kids, her husband, and various other things as well, those things all together seem to really beat up her mental health. Yeah, understandably so, especially if you knew the details around these things. And so with that, you know, when she came to us, she told me that she was like, I've done a ton of work on repairing that side of me. So my emotional and mental health is so much better. And I'm really proud about how well I've done in that regard to repair that. But the area that I am lacking, that I want to improve now, is my physical health, which is kind of cool because, and we didn't really talk about this as much at the start, but I know that she can see it now based on the feedback she's given me so far through this journey, is that she's now even increased the ceiling on her mental and emotional health, even from where it was, which it had already been a lot better. But because she's improved her physical health, her emotional and mental health is way better. It's pretty freaking awesome to kind of see that. And so, yeah, so she's done an awesome job over that, you know, how July, August, September, October. So we're looking at, you know, almost 4.5 months since she started, and being down almost 40 pounds is awesome. So her goal is 50. So she's got 10 to 11 pounds to lose right now. And it's pretty cool to get to that point where, you know, she's showing herself that like, this is totally possible. Like proving she now has this stack of evidence behind her of like, she can do this. And that's a really, really good feeling. You know, she told me that actually, let me read it to you. So she gave me really, really cool piece of feedback. So she sent me this message a few days ago, actually. She said, she sent me actually a few different wins of things that she was just excited about that week, from, you know, weight loss wins, but mental wins and all these things about just how she was feeling, fitting in clothes better, all this stuff. And then she goes, can I tell you something else that's pretty cool? My business has taken off even more since I started focusing on my health. When you feel good, people are attracted to that and take notice, and it flows over into every aspect of your life. So cool. She said it like perfectly, which is like kind of the thesis of what I'm saying here. And seeing it happen for her is really cool. Her being a business owner and being able to see like her improve her physical health, which then increases the ceiling on her emotional health. And they kind of work concurrently and symbiotically because they feed into each other and they both kind of like move up in tandem. If you're doing it the right way, they both should move up in tandem, which is pretty cool. And for her, that's definitely happened. And for her to notice, like, my business is improving, I'm making more money because I am more fit and because of the benefits of being more fit, like this improved emotional health, confidence, feeling more capable, feeling more confident, feeling like you can manage stress better because this person doesn't have low stress. They have lots going on in their life. And she now can manage that so much better than in the past, which is super, super cool. And it's a way more positive way to move through life. The so that definitely fired me up. And I feel like this is a kind of a side effect or benefit of being fit that a lot of people don't talk about, which is you you can absolutely, people will talk about the increased and improved emotional benefits and psychological benefits of being fit, but sometimes it's hard to put your finger on what those are, even if you've experienced those. If you haven't experienced those, it's very hard to envision what that actually looks or feels like. But while that's talked about a fair bit, what isn't talked about as much is the what happens from those improved emotional and psychological benefits, which is people in the world socially, whether you like it or not, treat you different. Because you treat yourself different, they now treat you different. You feel like you're worthy. You feel like you deserve the money you're asking for. You feel like you deserve the promotion that you're asking for, whatever it is. And now you're more likely to get it. And you're more likely to be given that from the person or persons that you're speaking to and interacting with. And to see that happen in real life, in real time with her, is a pretty cool thing to witness. I actually witnessed I witnessed a similar thing as well. I don't remember where I was financially at this time, but when I lost weight in last winter. So this would have been from November of 2023 till March of 2024. So it was around 4 months that I was in a diet phase. Started out as, I've talked about it before, but it started out as like what I called a mini cut, because I was like, okay, um, I'm the heaviest I've ever been, definitely chubby. I'm strong, not enjoying training, uh, mentally, and not enjoying training across the board. That was important for me because it's like I don't enjoy lots of my training, but I was starting to dread every workout. And in the middle of the workout, they weren't getting better. It's not like I would show up to the gym, be like, oh, I don't want to do this, which is classic, right? And then you get into the workout and you're like, oh, this is fun. I'm glad I went. I was going to the gym and I was like, I'm not enjoying any of this at all. And it's not getting better. So this phase, I don't know what's happening, but it's kind of a low grade depression. I wasn't feeling good. So I was like, I got to change something. And for me, I was like, well, I'm at the heaviest I've ever been. Let's see if taking control of my nutrition in a way that reduces my body fat helps. I was like, that's something I could do. Change the goals. This is something that I'll tell other clients as well, especially clients that I work with that want to gain muscle, or if they get a little bit too flexible with their diet and they're not in a place that they're happy with, regardless of improving their muscle, improving their strength outcomes, whatever it may be. And then it's like, I think what you need is you need to go into a diet phase because that gives you a new thing to go after, a new goal. And the results of that goal are all the things that I just mentioned, which can really like revitalize you. And that's kind of how I was looking at this. And it happened for me where it's like I ended up losing almost 30 pounds in those 4 months. And I didn't realize that at the start because going into it, I had this mini cut idea where I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose like 10, 12 pounds and, just trim up a little bit. And then maybe I'll feel better. I'll see. And then I lost 10, 12 pounds. I'm like, oh, this isn't how I want to look or feel still. So I just kept dieting. And then I got to that point for me, which I didn't know where it was. I knew where it was when I got there and I got down to 28 pounds and I was like, oh, this is good. I'm happy with how I look. I'm happy with how I feel. My diet, I have a lot more control of now. I feel more confident and capable around my nutrition. I feel more confident and capable around social situations, like everything was amplified because of that. I just felt better. My mood was better. I was enjoying the training again, which is funny because I wasn't even like tracking my training religiously or trying to hit PRs or any of these things. I was just going in enjoying the training, which I think for a lot of people, they should be doing that for a good chunk of their training. It shouldn't be super rigid all the time because it can really, I think, drag you down mentally when you get too attached to the numbers, especially if you're dieting, because at some point during the diet phase, you're probably not going to hit the weights that you used to at some point, depending on how long you diet for. That's not everybody. But for me, like detaching from that was like very helpful. And then I was like, oh man, I'm like 2 months into this diet phase. I don't know when I'm going to stop. Maybe I'm down, 12 to 15 pounds. And I'm like, I already feel better. I'm already enjoying my training more. This is exactly what I need to do. But what I noticed is because I don't remember where I was financially at that point, I definitely felt better regarding like my ability to service my clients. I felt better in my business. I felt better with work. And I think a lot of that came down to kind of two things. The one, you have like the psychological and emotional aspects of like, I just felt better about how I looked and felt. So then I I expressed that in how I was talking, what I said, how I behaved, my energy, whatever. And people can sense that for sure. And so I just felt better for that, and felt better from that and because of that, and then I was able to have kind of more energy in a way because I could give that energy to my clients and I could help them even better, which was great because I had a surplus of energy. I felt good. I felt looked after. I felt cared for. I was good. And then I could give more to my clients. And then the other one I think was actually like physiologically, like what was happening with just like improving the quality of my nutrition, decreasing excess body fat, and what that does hormonally, affecting neurotransmitters, vitamin, micronutrient state, and just everything that would be affected by the quality of nutrition in general. All of that seemed to affect my cognition so much better. So, and my general energy. So, a good example of that would be like, I would get to the point where in the day where actually, I guess I have two examples of this. One is like getting to the point in the day where it's like 3, 4 p.m. And I'm like, I feel like the same I did at 6 a.m. I'm I can easily just continue to finish my work, wind down for the evening, and I'd be done work and I'd feel good. And I didn't feel like I had to like push through that sticking point of like, oh man, I'm finding it hard to focus. It's not that I guess people use the word tired, but if you know how that feels, it's not even tired. It is tired, but it's like globally tired. It's not sleepy. It's like exhaustion. Your body's just like at a global deficiency of energy because it's just not working well. It's not working optimally. So that was a big one. And then the other one that I noticed was in the mornings, waking up in the mornings. And I woke up with way more energy for sure. Because I know energy is kind of a weird, ambiguous buzzword, but it's like just the general energy of just being alert and ready for the day. And I think a lot of that comes from just being excited for the day and being excited what I was working towards. So that was those are like two examples. For me, I can't really tie it to like, oh, I made more money or whatever. Maybe I did indirectly and it set me up for, you know, um, because I've grown my business over this summer and into this fall, a lot more than where my business was. So maybe it kind of set the foundations for that. So I'm sure it had some effect on that. But I wouldn't say that I noticed that directly, but I did notice that I could operate my business in a way that was like, it was better for my clients, it was better for me, and it was just more enjoyable all around. So I think like this is something that is massively understated when it comes to the kind of the next order effects of improving your mental health, your cognition, your confidence, your management of stress, all of these things, just mental health, that umbrella of mental health. The next order effects of all of those kind of just happen to be there's a bunch of things, but one of those things that I think a lot of people forget to mention or are completely ignorant to, which is you actually have a completely new opportunity to get the things that you want. And maybe it's monetarily, promotion at work, making more sales at your business or whatever it ends up, whatever your thing is. Um, but that's something that's like absolutely real and tangible, but it's like on that spoke of that wheel that I think a lot of people aren't really aware of. It's like when you're in that kind of space and you're in that vibe where you're just carrying yourself with a different type of energy, like other people can tell, and even it becomes natural for you because you just behave in a different way. Like even how I'm talking right now, how I feel right now, I feel good. I feel in shape. I'm like the shirt I'm wearing. I like how my arms look. I'm happy with how I'm coming off visually. And I'm also happy with how I feel. My stomach feels good. My digestion feels great. My cognition feels good. All of these things are next order effects of how like I behave around my fitness and my nutrition. And because of that, all of these things can lead to better social interactions, which are great, even if they don't lead to more money, because as I already admitted, that may not drive everybody and that shouldn't drive everybody. And that's fine. But for some people, that is going to be one of the driving factors. And that's a pretty cool thing to consider as far as like when we're stacking up all of the improvements or when we're stacking up all of the benefits of improving your health and fitness. It's your ability to improve your social interactions with whoever you actually talk to and come into contact with throughout the day, be it personal or business, and the opportunity to make more money, which is super cool if that's something you want to do. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, kind of go over that because I feel like that is massively understated when it comes to improving your health and fitness. And also I just wanted to kind of brag on my client, Mary. Yeah, she's an absolute champ. And I wanted to kind of share her story in regards to like where she's kind of come to so far. And I feel like a lot of people kind of it's easy for all of us to get very like siloed in our thinking or very hyper focused on what we're going to get from a thing that we're going to do. It's like if we're going to make a commitment to fitness or health, that can be already overwhelming or intimidating or scary or nerve wracking. So, I feel like it would help me and probably you if you're looking to make something like this or you're looking to stay consistent with something like this is to like be very aware of all of the benefits that are going to be awarded to you for staying with this commitment, as opposed to being like, I'm going to get this one thing, I'll be more confident. It's like, that's great. You will be more confident. But what will being more confident get you? That could open you up to 100 different benefits in life and just life amplifiers that you wouldn't even have been aware of until you even get there. So hopefully that motivates you. Hopefully that inspires you. And thanks again for listening. If you have any questions for me regarding fitness and health, I always like to make myself available to anyone that needs any advice or insight. So DM me at I am Tim Walcott. Leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, please share to your social media and tag at Stay Peaked. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll talk to you next week.